Hello everyone, Cercion here. How are you all doing today? Welcome to episode 12 of my 100% playthrough of Dragon Quest XI. In the last episode, we thoroughly embarrassed the Elysium bird. In today's episode, we'll be cataloging the monsters of the other side, Sniflheim region, Snaerfelt, Royal Library, and Heckswood into our Bestiary, collecting a whole assortment of new goodies to add to our itemary, and defeating both Dora-In-Grey and Krystalinda, this game's 8th and 9th bosses. With all that out of the way, let our adventure continue. As soon as we load up our save, we head over to Phnom to begin our typical pillaging spree. Notable items here include a breakable pod containing our 31st mini medal along with 2 chests containing both a dragon horn and 10 perfectionist pearls. We're then swayed into helping this little girl find her missing father, which we fail at before being allowed in the inn, where we receive a puff from this lady on the upstairs balcony before acquiring both a bronze helmet and a mystic nut from a dresser and pot respectively. We then make our way to the ruins of Now What, where we score ourselves a recipe book from a chest behind the structure before being sucked into the painted world known as the Other Side. The first new monster we're able to encounter here is a Drogged Diabolist, which has a 1 in 64 chance of dropping some magic water and a 1 in 128 chance of dropping some Sage's Elixir. The next new monster we managed to stumble upon is a Hypothermion, which has a 1 in 16 chance of dropping a purple eye and a 1 in 256 chance of dropping a Seed of Magic. Following that, we're able to encounter a Jockelis, which has a 1 in 8 chance of dropping a Flask of Finessence and a 1 in 256 chance of dropping a Seed of Defense. We then attempt to open the big old chest found in this area, which turns out to be a Colossal Candy Box, which has a 1 in 8 chance of dropping a Dracilian Gwynna and a 1 in 16 chance of dropping a Dracilian Sovereign. Said Colossal Candy Box turns into a chest containing a Papillion Pendant upon defeat, which we nab before ensuing in some hijinks which eventually lead us further into this dismal dimension. It's within this latter half of the Other Side where we're able to find a magic marionette, which has a 1 in 32 chance of dropping a Sprig of Narspicius and a 1 in 64 chance of dropping a Spellbound Bow. With said marionette's defeat, we have successfully cataloged all this area's monsters and can turn our attention towards opening the 3 chests scattered about it, which contain an enchanted stone, our 32nd mini medal, and a platinum platter. We then have a riveting back and forth with the porcelain pugilist of the hour, which inevitably devolves into a battle. Dora-In-Grey has 1200 HP, and at one point in this game's lifespan was an actually intimidating fight. However, regardless of her nerfs, we shatter her in just 2 turns, saving the people of Phnom from her evil ensnarement and acquire the magic key, which I'll put to use in a future video. The final task left for us to accomplish in this newly revitalized village is completing this chap's errand, which nets us 10 chunks of silver ore. With nothing left for us to plunder or catalog, we make our way over to Sniflheim, where we quickly discover that the entire kingdom is frozen in ice. We have a quick chat with a totally real, not fake queen who tells us that slaying some beast located in the Heckswood will dethaw the kingdom. However, before entering said Heckswood, there's a myriad of monsters we need to catalog and a wide assortment of goodies we need to gather, which begins with the area just outside Sniflheim. The first new monster we wind up encountering is a Silver Saber Cub, which has a 1 in 16 chance of dropping some fine fur and a 1 in 32 chance of dropping some twisted talons. We then head southwards where we encounter a Bongo Fandango, which has a 1 in 8 chance of dropping an Avabranch and a 1 in 64 chance of dropping an Ice Crystal. We then wait until nightfall to encounter our next 2 monsters, the first of which, a Luminous Lamplink, has a 1 in 16 chance of dropping either a Lamplight or Brighten Rock. Shortly after that, we encounter a Chihuahua Worm, which has a 1 in 8 chance of dropping some fine fur and a 1 in 32 chance of dropping a dragon horn. We then take down a score of Ursa Miners before eventually encountering an Ursa Panda, which has a 100% chance of dropping an ethereal stone and a 1 in 8 chance chance of dropping an additional Titan belt. With all of this area's monsters now cataloged, we can begin scouting out its few notable goodies. The only collection spot worth noting is this shakeable tree found along the southern path, which nets us both an avalanche and some permasnow. As for chests, there are only 2 we can find which contain both our 33rd mini medal and a seed of sorcery. With nothing left to plunder or catalog in the Sniflheim portion of this region, we can make our way into the Snaerfelt to begin yet another registering spree. The first new monster we wind up coming across is a crack-built platypunk, which has a 1 in 16 chance of dropping some fine fur and a 1 in 128 chance of dropping a hairy vest. We're then able to encounter a face invader shortly afterwards, which has a 1 in 16 chance of dropping a lava lamp and a 1 in 128 chance of dropping a royal ruby. Following that, we managed to encounter some dragon slimes, which have a 1 in 16 chance of dropping some permasnow and a 1 in 64 chance of dropping an ice crystal. We then wind up stumbling upon some slimesicles, which have a 1 in 32 chance of dropping a blue eye and a 1 in 64 chance of dropping an ice crystal. The penultimate monster we managed to encounter is a hunter mech, which has a 1 in 8 chance of dropping a chunk of silver ore and a 1 in 64 chance of dropping a molten globule. We're then forced to wait until night to encounter this area's final monster, a shadow, which has a 1 in 32 chance of dropping a purple eye and a 1 in 128 chance of dropping a thief's turban. Like before, now that we've cataloged all this region's monsters, we can once more begin scouting out all its nicks and bobs. The only collectible worth noting is this chunk of mirror stone, which can be found near this area's campsite. Aside from that, there are 3 chests we can find which contain a recipe book, our 34th mini medal, and a pair of anti-freeze earrings. With the monsters and treasures of the Snaerfelt fully cataloged, we can make our way into the Royal Library to begin this episode's 3rd registration spree. The first new enemy we managed to encounter is a ham hat witch, which has a 1 in 16 chance of dropping a magic beast hide and a 1 in 128 chance of dropping a magical hat. Following that, we wind up encountering a living statue, which has a 1 in 16 chance of dropping a chunk of flintstone and a 1 in 128 chance of dropping a diamond. We then make our way to this library's 2nd floor, where we encounter some wreck doors, which have a 1 in 64 chance of dropping some magic water and a 1 in 256 chance of dropping a seed of therapusis. Shortly after that, we make our way up to this library's 3rd floor, where we encounter a Professorus, which has a 1 in 128 chance of dropping a lightning staff and a 1 in 256 chance of dropping a seed of sorcery. With no more monsters left to catalog, we can focus on scouting out the 7 notable treasures scattered about the building, which include 4,000 gold coins, an urn of Saint's ashes, a seed of skill from fighting this mimic, a Mercury's bandana, a molten globule, and 2 recipe books located on the 3rd floor. With the Royal Library fully cataloged, we could finally make our way to the Heckswood to complete this episode's 4th and final registration spree. The first new monster we wind up encountering is a Bodkin Boyer, which has a 1 in 64 chance of dropping a leather hat and a 1 in 128 chance of dropping a leather cape. We then manage to encounter some Drachimons further down the trail, which have a 1 in 16 chance of dropping a wing of bat and a 1 in 128 chance of dropping a gold ring. Following that, we're able to come across an Orc King, which has a 1 in 16 chance of dropping some magic beast hide and a 1 in 256 chance of dropping a platinum lance. And with that, we have successfully cataloged this area's final unchecked monster and can begin this episode's last scouting spree. As far as collectibles go, the only one worth noting is this Lucida shard, which can be found near the Legion of Orcs. As for chests, there are a total of 3 we can find, which contain a seed of agility, a recipe book, and a vial of Sage's Elixir. With nothing left to catalog, we can make our way further into the Heckswood, where we find Sir Hendrick, who's here investigating Sniflheim's frozen asset situation. The beast he's fighting quickly turns on us, which we respond with lightning-fast hostility before meeting the villain of the hour, who Veronica sends packing Team Rocket style. Some scholarly shenanigans shortly ensue before we wind up facing off with the cold-hearted witch Krystalinda. Krystalinda has a total of 1800 HP and can be actually somewhat frightening should she summon up one of her wicked snowstorms. Unfortunately for the not-so-nice Witch of the North, she never got the chance as she was mercilessly manhandled in just 3 turns. The kingdom then dethaws, Krystalinda promises to be nice from here on out, and we're given the blue McGufforb for our heroic deeds, which is where I'll be leaving things for now. Our ending stats for today's journey are 176 monsters catalogued in our bestiary, 81 accolades achieved, which I'll show here for those of you curious, and a slow rolling but ever expanding itemary. If you made it to this point in the video, then thank you so much for watching. Take care, and have a great rest of your day.